Two wagons sit at the center of a semicircle, hitched together end to end by a system of forged iron locks. Both appear to be constructed from the same light-colored wood as the rest of the caravan, but are heavily reinforced with metal studs. A hinged connector links the front vehicle to the back. There is only one entrance visible, a reinforced door set into the side of the front vehicle, protected by armed guards. Rassel gestures towards the wagon. This is why you're here, young ranger. The contents must be protected at all costs and delivered to Ring City. I'm guessing there's like a person in there or something, I don't know. Through a window, you catch a flicker of movement in the rear armor wagon. As you focus, you realize that you are looking at a reflection of a blonde elven maiden shining off a mirror inside the wagon. Rassel seems unaware that you see her. Of course, it's difficult to tell with the cowl of his robe hiding his face. What's inside? You ask, turning away from the window. Why would you ask that? That's not your job. Yeah, Rassel shakes his head. That is not important. Yeah, that is not our concern. Whatever is in here, it doesn't matter if it's a nuclear bomb. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's his shit. Let him handle it. You just here to escort. Do that. That is not important, he replies. You merely need to understand that their contents are vital to the Storm Throne, and your job is to ensure their safety until we arrive. The elven gun remains out of sight as you both walk past. You consider pushing back after all. Knowing what you are protecting is an important part of your responsibility. The wizard turns away and gestures to the assembled camp. Prepare your defenses, Ranger. We leave before noon tomorrow. You watch the slaves scurrying to finish fitting the wagons with wheels and realize that no one is watching you. There is an opportunity for you to do some scouting, to try and find the dwarf and try to get some information out of the cargo. For what of the elven girl? There are guards stationed at the wagon, but you feel you could sneak around and learn more, if not speak to her. Either way, more information about this caravan would be helpful to your mission. I will not be trying to reach the elf girl. That is not our concern at all. As I said before, we should not poke our nose where it does not belong. So let's go back to talking to the dwarf. You find a moment, quiet. I would have preferred to not talk to the dwarf. Rather, I would just prefer to go around setting traps up and stuff like that. But whatever. You find a quiet moment to slip away from the bustle of the guards and servants. Find your way to what must be the dwarf's wagon. The door is ajar. As you peek inside, the interior is... What are we peeking inside? You find a quiet moment to slip away from the bustle of the guard servants. Find your way to the dwarf's wagon. The door is ajar. You peek inside. The interior is a combination of Spartan living quarters and crowded engineering work tools. Tools, drawings, and notes cover the walls. Half-finished projects seem to litter every working surface. While the interior looks plenty functional, it is clearly also a cage. The door and windows sills are built to accommodate heavy padlocks. Grimbold is stomping around the interior of the wagon, slamming his belongings into various storage compartments and muttering to himself. Blasted wagons, blasted trip, curse the heat and my blasted hip. Oh, that's nice. You clear your throat loudly and the dwarf whirls in place. How long have you been standing there? I just arrived, you say, and I realize you're busy. That's right, I'm busy. Leave me be, he growls. You might have a way to win him over and put him in the mood to answer some questions. You have a small flask of dwarf-made brandy gifted to you by Ranger Kobek on your graduation. You slip the small flask out of your hidden pouch under your belt. I just thought you might enjoy a taste of Fire Rock brandy. Grumbles eyes light up. Brandy, you say. You dangle the flask in front of him. This flask was given to me as a gift, but I have a little taste for this stuff. Grimbo holds out a gnarled hand. His arms are thick with the muscles and calluses of a tradesman. Clearly, he spends a great deal of his time constructing his innovations. Then you have poor taste, Ranger. Firelock liquor is one of the finest spirits available in all of Waltinar. He hesitated before pressing the flask into his hands. If that's true, then perhaps I should ask for some price for it. Grimball's expression turns suspicious. What price? Just some answers to a few questions. Grimball nods. I see. Very well, Ranger. I shall gladly answer 3 questions for you. I had hoped for more than 3, you say. But the dwarf shakes his head. You forgot that I am the property of Master Rassel. I'm not supposed to speak my own mind. Still, he adds as he licks his lips. A taste of Fire Rock liquor would be most welcome. You stretch the flask into his outstretched hand. Deal. Rimbal pops open the flask and takes a long swig of the contents. He's gasps, wiping his mouth with the back of one hand. That hits the spot. Whoever gifted this to you deserves respect, Ranger. Master Kobak did enjoy strong spirits. You can still remember him laughing as he promised that the brandy would finally put hair on your chest. 3 questions, you say, glancing at the door of the wagon. Very well. Grimble asks, and I shall answer truthfully, assuming I know the answer. First, what are the contents of the 2 wagons at the center of the caravan, you say. Dwarf's eyes narrow, straight to the heart of the matter, eh? Well, I shall count that as 2 questions since the contents are different. He takes another long drink and continues. The wagon in the front is Master Rassel's quarters and lab. The master often seals himself inside for days at a time. Grimbald meets your eyes. The rear wagon is divided into 2 parts. One holds a special slave of the master, an elven girl. He drinks again, this time with more vigor. It seems as though the more he talks, the more he needs to drink. The rear compartment holds a magical artifact of untold power, discovered from the waste of the Black Desert to the south. Okay, what is this artifact, you ask? And why is he bringing it to Ring City? Okay, maybe it is not supplies for Ring City. The dwarf takes another drink from the flask and tucks it into the top of his boot. That's 2 questions you just asked. I only answer one. Which do you want to know? The name of the artifact, or why is he bringing it here? Why does he bring it here? You begin to object, but he raises a single finger. Now, that was our argument. Too late to argue. Which will it be? Well, it's pointless to ask the name of the artifact because he could be like, oh, Dragon's Bane or something. Like, what the fuck is that going to give me? So let's just go. Why is he bringing it to Ring City? Why is Rassel bringing it to Ring City? You ask. Grimbald frowns. How should I know? I'm nothing but... Oh, come on! I'm nothing but property to him, a tool. Why would he tell me his plan? Certainly you have an idea. You say you're a clever dwarf. His lips turn up for the barest of moments from your comment, and then he scowls again. The best I can offer you is a guess. That's not a real answer, and an answer is what I agreed to. But you haven't given me anything, you say. He chuckles and reaches down and removes the fire rock from his sock. Because I'm not quite done with this. He says he smacks his lips and holds up the bottle. I thought the first sip would be the best, but yet each taste is different than the last. Finally, he smiles numbly at you. Very well, Ranger. Although you have squandered your question, I'll give you an answer to the other one. Besides, he says, leaning in, glancing over his shoulder, and conspiratorially, whatever, before going on. The name alone will be enough for you to learn more. The name, you ask? The dwarf nods. Aye. The wagon houses nothing less than Milacron's liberation. I have no idea what that is. Your mind spins back to myths and legends of the civilization that predate the kingdom of Waltenar. Milacron was a legendary figure from ages past who supposedly crossed through the veil and descended from the plane of the gods to the mortal realm. He was said to have many powerful tools in his possession, artifacts that are still spoken to of this day. Impossible, you say, shaking your head. The treasures of Milacron are myth. No one in living memory has ever seen one. No one in the north has seen them, the dwarf says, but then Master Rassel does not hail from the Northland. You turn and glance out the open door of the wagon towards the 2 linked wagons at the center of the semicircle. What is this liberation? A weapon of some sort? The heavily fortified door of the wagon center wagon opens, revealing the hooded form of Rassel. For a moment, it looks as if he is staring directly into Grimbald's wagon, and the dwarf blanches in fear. I've said enough for now. Be on your way, Ranger. I have much to do before you get underway. Try to press him further, but he's having none of it and ushers you out of the door. As you step out of the Grimbald's wagon and glance around, you realize the Rassel has gone and the middle wagons are locked up tight again. Could it be true? Could it truly hold an artifact from the time of legends, long before the information of Kingdom of Waltenar? If so, then this mission just became more perilous than you had imagined. Your mission to keep this caravan safe will be a challenge, so you set yourself to the task of supervising security. There are 12 guards and the same number of laborers. That's not a lot for a large caravan, particularly one with such valuable cargo. Certainly, Rassel does not lack resources. The wagons alone are masterworks. It's curious that all the guards and laborers are slaves. The guard uniform cover the bottom of the neck. I'm guessing he has some sort of what is that? Like a charm or something, like a curse or something placed, so that he does not he can control them. That's why he only got slaves, so that he could imprint the mark on them or whatever, so that if they go against him, he could kill them or something. The guard's uniform covered the bottom of the neck, and so you did not notice the slave collars at first, but you catch glimpses of the metal when they bend down. All the guards are men except one. She's an attractive redhead who glares at you when you gaze lingered just below her slave collar. Likely you're the only free person in this cavern. However, most of the guards you have interacted with do not behave as slaves, which is to say they do not seem meek or oppressed. You plan to ask about it, but you need to focus on the journey ahead. The wagons are scheduled to road within an hour, and the captain seeks you out. Ready to ride, he says, dusting his hands. Look at the distribution of the guards over the wagons, noting their position. You've done well, Captain. What about you? He asks. Where will you ride? You shake your head. I won't be on the wagons. I'll be beside the wagon, watching our flanks and scouting ahead. The captain looks you up and down, but you're on foot, he says. You can't keep pace with wagons, can you? You nod once. With the blessing of the twins, like the cougar, I shall move through the wind swiftly and out of sight. The twins, he begins with a smirk and then lets his sentence trail off, adopts a more serious expression. He nods at your black bow and wipes beads of sweat from his bow. Blessing or not, I pity anyone who approaches without permission. Life increases 1, favor increases 1. Favor from what? From the gods? From the twins? After an uneventful first day, the sun is rising on the second day on the trail. I didn't even notice the favor bar, honestly. The sun is rising on the second day on the trail. Daybreak streams over the hills of the peaks of the hills, streaming the clouds with a fiery orange glow. The black desert is far behind you now as the terrain continues in a slow rise towards the mountain range known as the Southern Gate. The highest peak loom ahead of you, since a day's march or more away. You're scouting ahead of the wagons when you catch a glimpse of a small herd of deer racing through the underbrush ahead. They are clearly spooked, and one of the bucks stops in a clearing and glancing up at the sky. You're racing on to catch up with the other animals. That was a big male, and the herd size itself is good. The herd itself was a good size. Only a predator could cause such a commotion. Something large. You turn to alert the guards on the wagon and spot the danger immediately. A large bat wing shape is dropping out of the sky behind the caravan, masked by the glare of the morning sun. You scream, "Look out!" but it's too late. The black silhouette gets close enough to blot out the morning glare. You can see that it's a Varan, a distant cousin of the dragon. This specimen is a large female, likely pregnant. The animal has been the apex predators in the hills for a long time, until, unlike dragons, the Varan only has 2 legs. Her forelimbs stretch out into bat-like wings. Yes, like the ones from Game of Thrones, because they were Varans, not dragons. They weren't even drakes. Maybe they were drakes. No, wait. Were they drakes? I don't think they were drakes. I think they were just Varans. The specimen is a large female, likely pregnant. Unlike dragons, the same, like bat-like wings that arch up over her shoulders. Her wings are tipped by claws that could gut nearly any prey, especially if pounced upon from the air. However, the greatest danger from the beast lies in her jaws, in the wicked barb at the end of her whip-like tail. The venom generated from those attacks will paralyze most, eventually stop the heart. The Varan hisses as she drops out of the sky towards the last wagon in the train. This is the guard's wagon. It has a wooden roof parapet built into the roof. A guard with a crossbow stands within the parapet. However, when he sees the Varan diving down at him, he panics and leaps from the caravan. Meanwhile, the slave driving the wagon squeals in terror, throws his hands up over his head in a futile attempt at self-preservation. The guard lands badly, catching one foot on the rock along the side of the trail, tumbling helplessly into the gully behind the road as the monster drops out of the sky. As the Varan stoops down, he narrowly misses the quaking slave, and her intended target becomes clear. The furry pack beast leading the caravan. Oh, the fucking horse or whatever, the yak thingy. The Varan lands on the lead animal with a hissing snarl. Her claws sink into his flanks as her jaws clamp down around his neck. The Wahasha emits a yelp of pain as it rides and thrashes. The second Wahasha in the tandem harness is braying and buckling wildly to get away from the Varan, but the harness is too strong. Neither animal can run, but their efforts rock the wagon so hard that it nearly tips. The rest of the caravan is in chaos as well. Huge animals wrestle in the snarled leather fittings. Pack beasts on the other wagons panic as slaves and guards scatter. Spring into action, dashing clear of the tree line towards the wagon as you unsling your black bow. The Varan sinks her jaw into the lead Wahasha's neck twice more, and you see the great animal's eyes roll up into his eye sockets. The toxin is working fast. Next, the Varan sinks his claws into the beast's back and begins to beat her powerful wings. Now, you're impressed by the ferocity of the attack. The Varan's dive hit her target perfectly. If the Wahasha had been walking unencumbered, the Varan would be carrying him away now. Wait, what? If the Wahasha had been walking because it was tied to the wagon, so obviously he cannot carry it away. But the Grimwald's harnesses are holding fast. What could have been a perfect snatch and grab has gone very wrong. This is bad, you think to yourself. The Varan can't understand why she can't lift the prey into the air. She was already hungry, now she's getting angry. As you run back among the wagons, you notice that a couple of guards are looking at each other, unsure of what to do in the face of the violent spectacle in front of them. You do, you shout, "Follow me, we've got to cut those harness straps." Both guards start to shuffle hesitantly towards you when the fortified door of the central wagon opens and Rassel appears. The hooded figure raises one hand and both guards immediately stand up at rigid attention. Rassel then points at the foot of the step. What? Rassel then points at the foot of the steps leading up to his wagon and says, "You two will remain here." Both guards immediately move into position by the door. You shake your head.